Speaks Talk Radio, where women's words are changing the world.
Hello, and this is Wendy Dixon with Intuitive Life with Wendy Dixon. And today I'm so pleased to welcome Toni Reilly. Toni is from Brisbane in Australia, and her business is the Toni Reilly Institute. I've known Toni for many, many years, and we met at the Arthur Findlay College. Gosh, I can't even remember how many years ago. But welcome today, and thank you for agreeing to chat to me today, Toni. So, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all?
Oh, thank you for having me, Wendy. You know what? We met in 2011.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, it's a long time ago now. Yeah. And it was wonderful to be at Arthur Findlay College. To tell you a little bit about myself. Well, for nearly 20 years or 2 decades, I've been on a bit of a journey of self-awareness, I call it, and it's been that way for me. It's my favorite thing. I think it makes our lives just exponentially better.
Absolutely.
I think we can't force it. I think we don't even know what it means until it's happened.
Yes, yeah.
It's something I try and explain in my courses, but it's like, oh, you don't understand it until it's in hindsight.
Yeah, absolutely. Retrospectively, you can see so much more, can't you? Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So part of my own awakening, which happened in my early 30s, I became aware of past lives, and past life regression came to my awareness, and I became a bit of a psycho, I say, but I mean I became obsessed with using it to help people because it helped me. And also I had never heard of past lives before.
Yeah.
Until I read the Brian Weiss book, Many Lives, Many Masters, and I remember reading it it seemed so natural.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, I know what I'm doing now. And up until then, I had no idea. Just, living life and being a mom and just living life and having quite a good time. But after I read that book, I thought, oh, this is what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
So
I also have read that book, and Brian explains things, as you say, in such a simple, matter-of-fact way. He really gets you to understand much more about it, and the evidence that he puts in behind it as well. I feel that it kind of brings his words to life, doesn't it?
Oh, Wendy, he has the most extraordinary writing style because it's simple, so you can understand it.
Yeah.
And just seems to be just not an ounce of arrogance in there. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to get to sort of go on his tour when he came to Australia. It was in 2010 actually, and I got to meet him, and I met him in training as well. And he's so, I say ordinary, and I mean it with the utmost respect.
Yeah.
But it's because he's just so down to earth and just so approachable, and yet he's extraordinary.
Yeah,
he's just a magical man.
And
his wife
man.
is too, actually. He's very humble.
Yeah.
And he and his wife also do this together, in their own way, different, their individual ways. But yes, what a team. Lovely.
Yeah. And actually, when I think back to when I first met my husband, which I won't even tell you when it was a crazy time, like about 1976 or something. I was 16 years old. And he was 20. And on the very first time we met him, we sat and talked about past lives. How bizarre is that? Absolutely amazing.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So I certainly think we were joined together through a past life and came together through that discussion. So yeah, it is amazing.
Oh, Wendy, that's beautiful. When you were so young.
Absolutely.
And do you know, gosh, I have a love story as well that it fizzled, but it's potentially back again now. But I wrote about it in my book, which I called Awake: The Purpose of Life and Why You're Here. And that realization that you've this connection is so strong, it's undeniable, and it's reciprocated.
Absolutely.
It's just extraordinary.
Yeah.
And then what transpires from I guess coming together and being together, and the force behind it, and also then that realization that yes, you've been together before, in various ways and various lives. It's incredible.
Yeah. And I guess, you know, we have role reversal and things like that in new lives as well.
Indeed.
Don't we? And
yes,
it's interesting when if you actually sit and analyze it as part of your relationship, you think, I reckon we were together as a different role in a previous life, but equally that knowingness, that just knowingness of what each other's even thinking half the time, it's just phenomenal, isn't it? Yeah.
Isn't it ever?
Yeah. Fabulous.
It's magic. It's truly magical.
Yeah.
I think from people who become interested in its perspective, sometimes it's out of pure curiosity, or they've got this exciting thing going on with someone. And those are the beautiful things to explore it for. Curiosity is as good of a reason as any to explore your past lives. But my passion was always the therapeutic value behind it. It's so extraordinary in the things that it relieves. Everything really, physical symptoms, emotional symptoms, and psychological symptoms, or our mental state, they all can be improved, or even sometimes miraculously cured in a way.
Yeah.
So it's phenomenal. And to actually be blessed to facilitate these vulnerable moments, I suppose they are, from people, it's really it's special. It's a blessing. What an amazing journey this life has been.
Yes. And have you had any extraordinary examples of people who perhaps have had therapy with you and it's made some massive changes? Have you got any examples of that?
Oh, Wendy, you know what? There's so many. Dare I say, there's so many, they kind of fade. But if I think of something that comes to mind, something will. There's been so many extraordinary ones. Well, I think I'll go with a physical thing. Emotional things is my favorite, but a physical thing where you literally see right before your eyes where someone might have a rash.
Yes.
Or eczema or something like that, and they see in their session where it could be something like they've been burned, or they've been poisoned, or something physical has happened in past life, and there's these remnants of it on their body now. And as they see it happening within the past life, it disappears. Of course, this means I can see it, so it will have been something on their neck or on a part of their body that I could see. But I also had a lady who told me after the fact that she lifted her shirt, and she said that she had been covered in, it was either eczema or a rash. It plagued her, and it was gone.
Wow.
It's like, what? It seems like it couldn't happen, but I've seen these things happen sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible.
Yeah.
So
and I guess
those are a couple of physical ones.
Yeah, I guess we don't actually realise that these things continue to impact us through different lives. But that memory, that universal memory of a past life is is on us, isn't it? It's implanted into our being, into our soul, and
Yeah,
it's kind of difficult to understand that that could potentially impact. But when you see the results of it, and I have read of results and seen results on TV shows and things that I've watched, and it's
yeah,
absolutely phenomenal, and the
it really
changes that
is.
it makes to people, especially emotionally and often relationship wise as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah, absolutely
I
amazing.
th- I think that um, I've noticed over the last nearly 20 years that it's it was always my dream or my mission. I felt it was my guidance to
Yeah,
bring it to mainstream.
hmm,
And over all of these years, which is quite some time now that it's
indeed.
passed, and now it does seem to be much more accepted.
Yes,
And of course, it's probably not mainstream yet, but I believe it's getting there
yes,
because I think most, well, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people are more aware that, because I guess the veil thinned within the energy, and things happen to people that they can't ignore. So their intuition is stronger, or they're making mediumship connections that they can't deny, or seeing repeating numbers. Things are happening where people are like, what's going on?
yeah,
Something more to this life. So yeah, I think it's definitely, I guess the world's changing.
yeah. I
Yeah.
definitely
And when
feel
you,
that people are waking up. They are looking for something more. They don't often know
yeah,
what it is, but
no,
there's that feeling of there's got to be more to life than this. And absolutely, intuition plays a massive part of that. And I feel that,
yeah.
you know, especially through this pandemic that we've gone through, people are feeling that there needs to be that interconnectedness that we haven't been able to have always. I mean, in the UK, we've been shut down for almost 2 years. And,
Yeah.
you know, people are wanting to come back together, but they're also feeling that interconnectedness of the energy that I feel has built up during that time of not having that
Oh, yeah.
physical contact. It's phenomenal.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I, it's been, oh, in some ways, I feel like it was a phenomenal positive thing. Even if we just look simply at how many people were forced to interact on on digital platforms such
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yeah.
And I think people who would have been very resistant to that, there was no choice because there was no other form of contact. So in some ways it made things a smaller place, or easier to connect
Yes.
globally, or wherever we are in our own town even. But of course there's been all sorts of repercussions from it, but both positive and negative. But it's
Yeah.
certainly nice to see it seems to be waning now.
Mm, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
certainly with me, I took my mediumship teaching online, and I'd
Yes.
never dreamt of doing that previously. And you know what? It works so well. And it means that I can reach people throughout the world. You and I having a
Yeah.
conversation, you sat in Australia, me in England. You know,
Yes.
how is
It's
that?
just truly fabulous.
Yeah,
Yeah. And my course is also online. It's just, we can reach people globally. It's that simple. It's
yeah.
brilliant.
Tell me a
And
little bit
I
about
think
you.
also, oh,
Sorry.
sorry, I was going to say, I feel like you feel like you're, it's not the same as being in the same room, but it's pretty
It
close.
is pretty close, yeah. And
Yeah.
energetically, there's always that link there, isn't there? And
Yeah,
and we've got to
absolutely.
remember that we work with energetics with the kind of work that we do. And you know, if
Yeah,
spirit is
indeed.
going to communicate, they're not
Yeah,
communicating sat next to me. They are communicating an energy from the universe.
that's right.
So why can't
Yes.
that get through all this online stuff? Amazing.
Indeed, and it makes no difference as far as the energy goes, does it?
Not at
It's
all.
just as clear, it's
Yeah,
just as easy, or yeah, it's just incredible.
yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, tell us a little bit about the courses that you run, about the teaching that you do, Toni.
Oh, I would love to tell you about it. Over the years, I had a whole lot of components that I developed, and now they're all in one place under a program that I call Soul Life Coach. So it's a diploma certification, and it's run over 12 months online, but we do live classes every week. But it includes it's intuition training, and we do I need to look. I can't believe I'm even staggering to think, but a big component of it, because I've been talking about it so much lately, because we're starting the 2022 class next week. But so it has intuition training, and we have kind of be your own medium training, where we can facilitate a meeting between a client and their past over person, so they get to meet with them themselves in the energetic realms, and I call that connection, that module. But a lot of the therapy or the therapeutic module is based around past life regression. So teach people to facilitate past life regression, and not just past life regression, because I call it recall, actually, because people go into current life, if that's where the core is for something that they need to address, or sometimes they go off to the in-between phase, or even beyond, where I feel like we're all just connected. But wherever they need to go, that's where they go. And I teach my students how to facilitate wherever they go. And because I feel like it's always their soul leading them, guiding that. So we, as a facilitator, we go with what's happening. And it's very beautiful. But there's 9 modules, actually. There's various other things that we have in there.
Numerology,
energy medicine. Oh yes, yes. One of the first things that we do is, it's a thing that I developed I call it Soul Life Map, and I call it your life mission master plan. So it's based on numerology, but I wanted to simplify it into something that outlined someone's mission here. So it talks about our positive traits and our motivations and our strengths. And it also talks about the things, the obstacles, in a way, or the objective to reaching our life mission. And I do believe that our mission in life is to experience emotion. That's my very dumbed down purpose of life. It's to experience emotion. And all of the things that happen to us, whether amazing or whether they're harsh, dark night of the soul, they're extraordinary ways that we as a person experience emotion. So the life map outlines that mission for somebody.
That's amazing. And I think that often, we may veer from our mission, our purpose, if you like, and we go off and do different things. And often that's when I feel that spiritually we do get that dark night of the soul, because it's forcing us back to what is our true mission in life, isn't it? It's our true purpose.
Wendy, you know what? One of the things that I teach is, we think we went off track because it gets hard. And when it's hard, we're like, oh, that can't be right. I've made a wrong decision. Something's gone wrong. But the truth is, we're never off track. It's like it's part of it. And I truly believe that the dark night of the soul, whatever brings that on, it's a grief and loss process. Actually, if we talk about it in mainstream terms, that is, I feel like it's the most important thing that happens to us as a person, because after that, during it, but more so after it, when we're through, we are not the same. And we are so different, and there's no going back from that experience. And going forward, we're more empathetic, and we're more tolerant both of ourselves and of others. So it's a really key aspect of our lives.
Yes, yeah. I can completely get that, because again, if we talk about retrospect and looking back on what we've actually been through, often we can see the reasons that happened and the lessons that we learned out of it, even though sometimes you think, I really didn't want that lesson, but actually I've learned a lot from it. and yes, to recognize the emotion within it, and to recognize that, you know, at the end of the day, we're human. We can take on a certain amount of things, and you know, it's sometimes you think things are going to break you, and they don't break you, do they? They actually make you more whole. And
they do make us more whole. What a beautiful way to say it.
Yeah. And at the time, we can't necessarily see that. And even sometimes retrospectively, we can't see that. But by breaking us, it brings us together and brings us more whole. And I'm desperately trying to think, there's a Japanese story where they put a bowl together, a smashed dish together, and they put it together with like gold and build it back to make it stronger and more beautiful. And that's really what it does to our soul.
Truly,
and I can't for the life of me, it's called something like Kidsoim or something like that, and I honestly can't think of it, but I will send that through to you when I find it.
I'd love to see it, read it. Yes. Beautiful. Yeah. I think that, I guess the other thing is hindsight or retrospect is it's a beautiful thing, but part of when you're in the process, you have to be in it, and you only know after. So I think part of being a coach or a counselor or a therapist, it's not, or even if we know somebody who's in grief, it's not helpful for us to say, there's a purpose in this. I don't think it's comforting in the time.
No,
so it's like you almost
not.
have to tread carefully, isn't it? It's like maybe you just need a hug. Maybe you just got to listen to their sadness for another time and just be empathetic to people who are in grief, because it's such a terrible thing and they don't choose it.
No.
You don't consciously get up each day and say, today I'm going to feel really bad. I'm going to feel so sorry for myself. It's not like that. And I think sometimes from the outside looking in, for people who've not been in grief, they can't understand it. So it's hard for them to resonate. But gosh, if you can have empathy for someone who is in a process, because one day you'll know it, and then you know, oh, they didn't choose it. And it's a process that has to be experienced.
Yes.
And need to have empathy for it.
Absolutely, because when you're going through that, you can't see beyond it, can you?
No.
All you can do is be in that energy of grief, of sorrow, of perhaps feeling sorry for yourself, but also of not being able to see forward and where you will go in the future. Because you know, you're almost stuck in that time, stuck in that moment, aren't you?
Indeed. Yeah. And we need to be, as terrible as it is, it's like we need to be. We need to experience the process, go through it. Yeah.
And I think you know, a lot of people have gone through a lot of grief and sorrow during this last couple of years. So we will have a lot of people in that state of that state of sorrow, if you like, that do need the support of others. And you know, it doesn't help to tell people to get over it and get on with it. It doesn't help to, you know, because they have to go through that experience. They have to feel it. So
they have to.
What do you feel really brought you to the path that you ended up on, Toni?
Well, I know when my real awakening started, I had a marriage breakup. I left my marriage of 16 years and I had 3 little kids. So I was very guilt-ridden, but I made a big decision, and part of that was almost this this freedom that came after it to rediscover my own identity,
Yeah.
which I had lost within. I did it to myself. I'm aware of that. But it was just that for me, it was a grieving phase. So it was a paradox, actually, because I was so guilty and so grieving. I had a very kind husband, and so it was this paradox of being guilty and in grief, and I've inflicted this trauma onto someone, and then also this liberation of I just was so curious of life and who I really was, and following this awareness. Actually, it was my intuition that I became aware of, that started it, and I'm like, I have to find out about this, and it was amazing, really.
Yeah.
So I wrote about my husband as well, or my ex-husband, and in life, as far as the purpose of life and why all of these things happen and what's the deeper meaning behind them. And there always is.
Yes.
So, but that was certainly the start of my it's like my life was going this way, and then it went in a completely different direction, and I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I didn't foresee it. It almost seemed to just happen out of the blue, though of course it was meant to be.
Yeah. And I guess that it sounds like that opened up a massive search that kind of brought so much to your life as well, and your career, because that's what your career's been based on now, isn't it?
Yes. And with that realization of that career, it was so planned, or I came to discover that things are planned from all of these clients that have gone home or in between, and my own experiences of being there, or meditating and being deeply connected to that soul energy. But and then realizing that there's a plan, and we don't necessarily need to know it, or it doesn't really change the choices that we make, because I think as humans we still feel like we have free will.
Yes.
So we're making our choices, and we're living life. But as far as that, back to helping with that career, I met people, doors open, people came for sessions. I could write, which I never could. My own fears and phobias cleared from it, which of course was part of the reason I got so intrigued with it.
Yeah.
But yes, it made me, everything just happened.
Yes.
And it was really, I'm going to say easy. It's a lot of work, but it was easy in that one thing after another would just keep progressing positively. So I couldn't believe anything else except that this is meant to be, because it's been magical. Some of the people I've met, and some of the even just people who come for sessions and things that happen. It's been a really beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, and I love teaching it to other people, and then they come back and they've helped people in such extraordinary ways, and it's a feel-good thing. It's a feel-good thing as a facilitator or a coach or a therapist. And it's also, it's just a beautiful life, really.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. And it's been wonderful to talk to you today, Toni. Where can we contact you?
Oh, my website is ToniReillyInstitute.com, or I'm on social media as Toni Reilly or Toni Reilly Institute. So yes, that's where you can find me.
That's wonderful. I'd just like to say a very big thank you for joining us today. It's been fabulous to talk to you, and to actually listen to some of the stories that you have and some of the experiences that you've had along your journey. So thank you again for joining us. This is Wendy Dixon from Intuitive Life with Wendy Dixon. Thank you, everybody. With lots of love. We'll talk soon. Bye now.